Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We are embarking upon the Niyamas. The 5 Yamas were Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. And now the Niyamas, they are Shoucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana. So, just as in case of Yamas, the Ahimsa got the first place and quite justifiably, and we saw why Ahimsa is a basic Yama, fundamental Yama, pervasive Yama. Similarly, it should be noted here that Niyamas are not starting from Santosha or Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana, but from Shoucham. So Shoucham is similarly all pervasive. The Shaucha will be circumscribing Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana. So just as Ahimsa was like elephant's foot, subsuming all the rest of the 4 Yamas, similar is the case of Shoucham. Because Shoucham will end in Pavitra Mangalam. And that is supreme sanctity. And that is quite culminative. So, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhanani, Niyamaha is the Sutra 3.32. So, just very briefly, let me tell you that if you look at the Kriya Yoga Sutra, which is Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhanani, Kriya Yoga, which was the 2.1 Sutra, the first Sutra of the Sadhana Paada. Now, theoretically it appears that there is addition of 2 other principles to make it Niyama. Because Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana is also preceded by Shoucha and Santosha. So literally you might feel that Niyama is more pervasive than Kriya Yoga. But that is not right. The meaning of Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana in Kriya Yoga is one. And meaning of Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana in Niyama is another. So although the words are repeated, the terms are repeated, the terminologies have different implication. So, the Kriya Yoga Sutra, which was 2.1, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhanani, Kriya Yoga. There, the 3 are Pindikruta. They are composite. In Kriya Yoga, the Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana are composite. While in Niyama, these are separate. Something is called as Tapas, something is called as Swadhyaya, and something is called Kriya Yoga. And these are to be carried out as separate pursuits. While in Kriya Yoga, the pursuit is combination of all the 3. And if you recall our discussion of Kriya Yoga, which took place when we considered 2.1, we went into it. So it is advisable that one should go back to Kriya Yoga Sutra so that there won't be any confusion. Otherwise, literally the words are repeating. But purport wise, there is no repetition. And it's also therefore not proper to say that Niyamas are more pervasive than Kriya Yoga, or it is not proper to deem that by being in Niyama, by practicing Niyama, the Kriya Yoga is accomplished. So, going by literal meaning, one would be misled. Because Kriya Yoga is of Madhyamadhikari and Ashtanga Yoga is of Adhamadhikari. So these are separate practices in Niyamas. So there is something that you will come across: Tapasadhana, Tapabhyasa, Tapanushthanam, Swadhyaya sadhana, Swadhyaya abhyasa, Swadhyaya Anushthanam, Ishwarapranidhana sadhana, Ishwarapranidhana abhyas, and Ishwarapranidhana Anushtahana. So, this is what is to be understood here. So, in Niyamas, you will have sadhana, abhyas, and Anushthan. As per the classical approach, because Yoganga Anushthanam is the channel that Patanjali is speaking of. And then it will be preceded by some sadhana and also preceded by some abhyasa. Therefore, in the Niyamas, when we come to Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana, there is Tapasadhana, Tapabhyas, Tapanushthanam, Swadhyaya sadhana, Swadhyaya abhyasa, Swadhyaya Anushthanam, Ishwarapranidhana sadhana, Ishwarapranidhana abhyas, Ishwarapranidhana Anushthanam. While in Kriya Yoga, these are composite. They are integral practices. Then, secondly, the Kriya Yoga Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwarapranidhana is not for you and me, and for Tom, Dick, and Harry, or a common man. They are for accomplished yogi, for whom Samadhi is going to be actualizing. Whereas the Niyamas, the three in Niyamas, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana, they are for you and me. They are mentioned for you and me and commoners who are not yet qualified Samadhi Siddha yogis. So this is for a seeker. Yama Niyamas and Ashtanga sadhana is for a seeker, while Kriya Yoga is for accomplished one. So Jnaneshwar, Yajnavalkyadi proficient yogis will be in Kriya Yoga Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwarapranidhana, while others, neophytes, the seekers, will be in Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwarapranidhana of Niyamas. So there is a huge difference between the three that come in Kriya Yoga and the same three which come in Niyamangas. So difference should be imagined. The difference is mountainous, and this has to be imagined. Then, as I just now said, proficient yogi will have a composite practice process of Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwarapranidhana, whereby his samadhi actualizes and the kleshas are weakened. The Ashtanga sadhaka is not working for klesha dhanukaranam. He has to go a long way before he comes to klesha dhanukaranam. There is a lot that has to be attenuated before the kleshas are attenuated. So Ashtanga sadhaka will be trying to get rid of klesha vrittis and not kleshas themselves. So for Ashtanga Yoga Sadhaka, Ashtanga Yoga Sadhaka, it is Klesha Vritti management. The Klesha Vrittis are Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsar, and all those negative aspects of human psyche. So those are to be overcome in Ashtanga Sadhana. While Kriya Yogi is well past these Shadripus and such factors, because he is accomplished yogi, and therefore he will work on Klesha Tanukaranam. Then it is expressed in Patanjali Sutra itself that the tapas of Niyama, Niyamanga tapas, it is Kayendra Shuddhi, Kayendra Siddhi and Ashuddhikshaya. So Kayendra Shuddhi and Siddhi will take place, Ashuddhikshaya will take place by the tapas of Niyama mode. So in Niyamas, the tapas is of such kind where there will be Kayendriya Shuddhi, Kayendriya Siddhi and Ashuddhikshaya. While Madhyamadhikari is well past these aspects. By tapas, which is integral in Tapas Swadhyaya Ishwarapranidhana, will actualize Samadhi. For Gyaneshwar, Yagnevalkya and yogis of such order. Then when it comes to Swadhyaya, the Swadhyaya of Niyamanga will give Ishta Devata Samprayoga. Therefore, there will be Ishta Devata Upasana. So, the Swadhyaya in Ashtanga Yoga expects one to go for Ishta Devata Upasana. And then, therefore, consequently, there will be Ishta Devata Samparka, Sahavasa, Sahayoga, Samprayoga. So the Swadhyaya here is going to work for this particular purpose, which is something very fundamental in classical, authentic, genuine yoga. While Kriya Yogi is well past this, he already has the grace of Ishta Devata. He already has the grace of Ishta Devata, and therefore he will be getting Samadhi, and we will be getting our Shreyas and Preyas by our Swadhyaya, which is Ishta Devata Upasana. Then Ishwarapranidhana of Niyamanga will bring some qualification to Samadhi. While Ishwarapranidhana in Kriya Yoga is of one who is already qualified, who has already attained Samadhi, the Samadhi only has to be actualizing whenever it is contemplated upon, Samadhi is sought, it will be just actualizing. So in the Niyamas, the three which are seems to be repeated after Kriya Yoga mentioned, it should be understood that there is Kanisthata in these principles in Niyamas, and there is Shreshthata in the same principles in Kriya Yoga. So there is superior aspect to these three in Kriya Yoga, and there is relatively inferior aspect to the same three in Niyamas. Let me draw your attention to Vyasa Bhashya. He says, the Anadi Klesha Karma Vasana and the Vishaya Jala creates complex kind of vasanas in the mind. And therefore the Rajatama gunas play havoc. So these Rajatama gunas, they play havoc in the mind of we people, commoners, or even yoga sadhaka. Therefore there are some measures taken to that. Whereas for a Kriya yogi, the Rajatama gunas are not havoc making as they do in us, as they make us experience the Rajatama guna avishkar, which is really tormenting us, vexing us. But whatever microscopic Rajatama gunas are there, for a Kriya yogi, they are attenuated so that samadhi would actualize. Then coming to the tapas particularly. The tapas in Niyamanga is of the nature of dvandva sahanyam. Dvandvas are dualities. Dualities are thirst and hunger, heat and cold, and the physical dualities and psychomental dualities. Now they are to be countered by tapas in Niyamangas. As a Niyamanga, tapas, these are taken measures of dvandva sahanyam. For that purpose, there are certain practices such as Krishra Vratam, Chandrayana Vratam, Santa Panadi Vratam. So there are Vrata Vaikalyas, which Vyasa mentions in his commentary on 2.32. While there is no such mention, while Kriya Yoga is being commented upon by Vyasa. So there is specific meaning to tapas in Niyamas, there is specific meaning to Swadhyaya in Niyamas, and there is specific meaning to Ishwarapranidhana in Niyamas. And these meanings become applicable to a seeker yogi or seeker yoga practitioner. One who is seeking yoga, for him these practices are of paramount importance. Little bit about Swadhyaya. The Swadhyaya is Moksha Shastra Adhyanam and Pranavadi Japa. Now this is the meaning of Swadhyaya. So Pranavadi Pavitra Mantranam Japaha and Moksha Shastra Adhyanam. Now, a neophyte will be getting introduced to these Shastras, Gita Shastra, Upanishad Shastra, Sankhya Shastra, Yoga Shastra, Dharma Shastra. So it is studying these Shastras. That is what is expected in Niyamas. So also some Japa Sadhana, Nama Sadhana, Gayatri Mantra, Pranava Mantra, the Dwadashakshari, Ashtakshari, Shadakshari, Panchakshari mantras. So all these mantras are to be chanted. There has to be incantation. There has to be japa of these mantras. While Swadhyaya in Kriya Yoga is something different. So for you to understand, let me give you an illustration. See, the text of Bhagavad Gita, which is 700 verses book. So we will be trying to understand each of the verse, and that will be our study of Bhagavad Gita, what each of the 700 verses are meaning, try to ascertain the meaning of it, try to understand the purport of it, try to understand the import of it. So we will be doing Upanishad Adhyayanam to study the Upanishads, understand what the Upanishads say, understand what the Upanishads mean, what is their purport and what is their import. Similar is the case of Dharma Shastra, Karma Shastra, Gita Shastra, Vedanta Shastra, Sankhya Shastra, Yoga Shastra. We will be only studying these Shastras. That is what is expected in our Swadhyaya. Whereas the Bhagavad Gita that you and me read, which is 700 verses, it is the same text. It is the same text for Acharyas. Srimad Shankaracharya, Srimad Ramanujacharya, Srimad Madhvacharya, Srimad Vallabhacharya, Srimad Nimbarkacharya, Srimad Bhaskaracharya. So the same Gita, Bhagavad Gita, was studied by them. It was not a different text. The text that you and me read and you and me study is the same text that Acharyas read, Jnaneshwar read. Jnaneshwar also had the same Bhagavad Gita on which he commented, called Bhavartha Deepika, which came to know as Jnaneshwari. So the text was one and the same. We try to extract the purport, import, and try to conceive it. But in their case, they already have conceived it. And then they have a reflective thought process on it. The text is same, we study. The text is same, they reflect. So you can understand the difference between Swadhyaya that would take place for neophytes like you and me, and Acharyas, great sagely people, saintly people like Jnaneshwars and Tukarams, Sri Ramdas Swami. So it was same Bhagavad Gita for them as well. But that understood the purport, import, essence, quintessence, and therefore they had a substance to reflect upon. They would be reflecting on the verse of Bhagavad Gita, having understood the complete purport of it, complete quintessence of every verse. Whereas we are just trying to understand each of those verses. So the Swadhyaya would be taking place on a different plane for someone like Srimad Shankaracharya, Srimad Ramanujacharya, Srimad Madhvacharya, Srimad Vallabhacharya, Srimad Nimbarkacharya, Sri Bhaskaracharya, Srikaracharya, Srikantacharya. So they know the essence and they therefore have matter to reflect upon. That's how their Swadhyaya would be on a different plane. We try to understand the Shastras, and they, having understood the Shastras, having churned out the purport, for them it is matter to be reflecting on it. So they will be having pensive, reflective, meditative, higher faculty functions and beyond on the purport of Bhagavad Gita, Gita Shastra, or Upanishad Shastra, Vedanta Shastra, Sankhya Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Yoga Shastra. We do not know, therefore we read. But they, having known, they have a thought process on it, which is higher faculty function and even meditation itself, meditativity itself. So also their mantra japa. They understand the purport of mantras and then they would be in it. Or Nama Sadhana. We do not know what is Rama Krishna Hari, what is Rama there, what is Krishna there, what is Hari there. Or Achyutananta Govinda. We do not know what Achyuta stands for and what Ananta stands for and what Govindam stands for. So we will be only doing the Nama sadhana, Rama Krishna Hari, Rama Krishna Hari, Rama Krishna Hari Govinda, Achyutananda Govinda. While they go well beyond this, they will also be in this japa. So what's the difference between you and me doing Gayatri japa is merely chant it. But one who has understood Gayatri Rahasya, has gone to deep purport of Gayatri Rahasya, how his japa would be. Because when we chant Gayatri, we don't have Arthanusandhanam. But while those who are well versed in Gayatri mantra, as to what it is, why it is, what is the purport of it, what is the essence of it, they dwell in the very quintessence of Gayatri mantra and then they chant it. We merely orally chant it. Now there will be a big difference between the chanting of mantras by those who are well versed in various shastras and they understand the purport of every nama, every mantra. While we do not know and yet we will be just repeating, it will be incantation on our part. So that's how the Swadhyaya of Kriya Yoga and Swadhyaya of Niyama has to be understood. So is the Ishwarapranidhanam. What at the most we will do as Ishwarapranidhana? We will think of God, remember God, do some puja, archa, worship. While someone like Vidyaneshwar, Tukaram, Ramdas Swami, they would be having their bhakti on highest plane with Sarvarpanam, Sarvakarmarpanam, Sarva Bhagavadarpanam. So their Ishwarapranidhana would be totally on a different wavelength. By being devotees, by being devout devotees of divinity, their Ishwarapranidhana is totally different. So the point is, the words are repeating, but that should not mean that what you heard about Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana in Kriya Yoga is the same here. This is something for us to be trying to do, trying to be in it. While Kriya Yoga, it was something for us to just know, just knowledge, just information. So the point is not to have confusion between Kriya Yoga and Niyamas. Although three factors are repeating both places, nowhere they are comparable. So these Niyamas are called observances, while the Yamas are called restraints. So the Yamas are don'ts, Niyamas are do's. That is in one perspective. That's why in English they are rendered as Yamas as restraints and Niyamas as observances. So we have to observe Shoucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishwarapranidhana. While we have to restrain Ahimsa, Asatya, Steya, Abrahmacharya and Parigraha. We have to restrain ourselves from the opposites of Yamas. So not to indulge in Himsa, not to indulge in Asatya, not to indulge in Steya, not to indulge in Abrahmacharya and not to indulge in Parigraha. That is our Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha. It will be that much limited that we don't keep ourselves engaged in himsadi, it becomes our ahimsa. So it is like someone who is good by not being bad. So just not being bad is a degree of good, but there is something where one can be absolutely good. So goodness is not just in being not bad, but there is also something to score further, to be really good. So our yama is something like that we should be good just by not being bad. Being bad means to indulge in himsa, indulge in asatya, indulge in steya, indulge in abrahmacharya, and indulge in parigraha. So if we do not indulge, that itself is our yama. That's the first step that we need to take. How far can we wean ourselves away from these natural tendencies to opposites of yamas? Now, niyamas are certain observances. We have to observe, we must do. It is something to be done. So we must be in Shoucha, we must be in Santosha, we must be in Tapas, in Swadhyaya, in Ishwarapranidhana. And that's why Niyamas are something that we should be doing. And yamas are something that we should be refraining from certain things. So therefore, with that, we are now proceeding to understand the niyamas. The first niyama is Shoucham. Shoucham has a wide range of meaning than literal meaning that we are familiar with. Shoucham is Shoucham. It is insufficiently considered when we translate it into English by way of hygiene and cleanliness. So, it is not proper to render into English for our conveniency that it is cleanliness and hygiene. It goes far, far, far beyond. So, point is the Shoucham here is not just hygiene from health point of view, Arogya Shastra point of view. It is not just Arogya Shastra point of view that Shoucham is being mentioned, because hygiene for one's health is something that you can be understanding. Now, this is expressed in Patanjali's text because he is speaking about Shaucha Anushthanam. Our hygiene is not Anushthanam. Our cleanliness that we observe because of our civic sense, all that we might be doing to be clean and also hygienically clean, there is no way that it can be Anushthanam. But Patanjali is mentioning Anushthanam in Shaucham. Therefore, it is more than, much more than, beyond the hygiene that health sciences speak about, the Arogya Shastra speaks about. Because this Shaucham is going to circumscribe the states such as Pavitriam, Mangalyam, and Shuchirbhutata. Shuchirbhut has a different connotation for which there is no parallel in any language except the vernacular language. Vernacular languages have the term called Shoucha. So this needs to be pure, pious, sanct. It needs some Anushthanam and not just some water and detergents or some soaps. So by soap you can clean your body. But to be sanct, we need to do something else. So this is cleanliness needed for Anushthanam. If you have so far had little idea of Anushthanam, then you can imagine that it is cleanliness to be in Anushthanam and not cleanliness in civic sense. So all the Niyamas are capable of becoming Anushthanam. Just as with reference to Yamas, we saw that 5 Yamas could be of the nature of Anushthanam. Ahimsa Anushthanam, Satya Anushthanam, Asteya Anushthanam, Brahmacharya Anushthanam, Aparigraha Anushthanam. So also here these 5 Niyamas can be raised up to the degree of Anushthanam. That is what we have to understand. Now Patanjali clearly mentions Shaucha on 2 planes. One he calls as external Shaucham and the other one is internal Shaucham. Baihya Shaucham, Abhyantara Shaucham. So while in hygiene, they don't bother about your internal Shaucham. They only bother about your external Shaucham. That's what the hygiene speaks about. But here there is something that is called as Bahya Shaucham, Abhyantara Shaucham. And therefore it comes closer to Anushthanam. So we will be discussing Bahya Shaucha and Antah Shaucha. Bahya Shaucha and Abhyantara Shaucha. So let's first understand the Bahya Shaucham. So Bahya Shaucham comes first. And then it also circumscribes Abhyantara Shaucham for Anushthanam. So let's try to understand what is this Bahya Abhyantara Shuchi which Patanjali is mentioning. But let us take that in our next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.